Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at purposely.com.
My grandmother lived to be 102 years old. 102 years old. Isn't that amazing? She lived in her own home for a very long time. Not until she was almost close to 100 did she move to be closer to my brother and his wife and moved into a retirement place there close to their house. It was amazing. She was amazing. And I was really blessed that I got to spend a lot of time with her. I'm Julie Lyles Carr, and this is God on the Go, where we help you make the minutes matter, part of the Purposely Podcast Network. When I think about how well I knew my grandmother, I would tell you that I knew her very well. I knew her my whole life, some of my earliest memories. She's right there. There are still things that I remember about the way that she talked. She had this deep Southern accent, stories that she would tell about her childhood. I knew her so well that I could often predict how she was going to respond to a certain story or a certain situation. She was a huge personality, and she was someone that I really felt like I knew very, very well. So you can imagine how surprised I was when at a family gathering, my grandmother said, "Let me show you something I can do." Now, she was quite a bit older at this point. And this little lady jumped up and started dancing a dance called the Charleston. It's a funny dance that maybe you've seen before. People put their hands up and they kind of kick the Charleston. It was a dance that was popular when she was a girl. I had no idea, as well as I thought I knew this woman, I had no idea she could do something like that. We're starting a new series where we want to take a look at who is God? How well do we know him? What does God tell us about himself? Because, you may be going to Sunday school a lot. You may be going to church with your family a lot. Your family might talk about God a lot, but there is still so much more to know about God. As I was thinking about this, I looked up this amazing fact. If a person lives to be 70 years old, that means that they live 36,792,000 minutes. Think about all the things that happen to you during the minutes of a day, things that you say about yourself, things about your personality that come out, things that you learn, things that you show other people. Is it possible for anybody to know every single thing that you do in all of those minutes? Well, of course not. And, when it comes to learning who God is, he is so much bigger than our human lives. He exists and exists and exists. We're not going to ever in this life get to know every single thing about him, but there are things that he tells us about that we can know. As I was thinking about the things about God and who he says he is, this is the one that I thought, we should start here. This is what I want you to know so fully when you think about who God is. In 1 John 4, verse 16, it says, God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God, and God in them. Now, with my grandmother, I knew she loved me. I knew that about her. But here's what's interesting, that verse that we just looked at, it says God is love. That means that you can't have love without God. He is love, and he loves you so very, very much. There are all kinds of things you may hear people say about who God is or what he does or why he does the things he does. And you know what? That's why it's so important for us to always be learning about God, to be going to his word, to take a look in the Bible at who he says he is. Sometimes people do know things about him that are right, and sometimes they don't. They're just maybe repeating something that they heard. That's one of the beautiful things about having God's word, because we can go to the Bible and let God tell us who he is through the Bible. And I think one of the most important things he tells us is that he is love. He loves you so much. And when you live in loving other people, in loving yourself, in loving God well, that means God is right with you. He is in you, because there's no love without God. Who is God? God is love. Over the next few weeks, we'll be taking a look at other things that God says about himself in this series we're calling Who is God? Right here at God on the Go. A big thank you to George Fox University. George Fox University wants to make sure that your college student is known well, is loved, is set on a course for success for their life. So check it out. You can learn more about George Fox University at georgefox.edu. I'll see you next time at God on the Go.